Hey, my name is Lizzie Smiley, and I absolutely love helping people connect with their calling and all the tools they need to kick roadblocks and excuses right out the door so they can cultivate the life they dream about. If you want to launch, grow, pivot, or scale your Etsy shop, or you've always wanted to develop the mindset and skills to run your own business, then I'm your girl. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit going strong since my very first lemonade stand, and now I'm a work-at-home mama with multiple online companies and a full-time Etsy shop, all while being present with my kids for the everyday chaos and most important milestones. On this podcast, we'll talk about all things business, mindset, Etsy, creativity, dazzling our customers, and so much more. There's plenty of room at this table for you, so scooch on in and let's go. I'm holding nothing back. Welcome to How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast this week. I am bringing you another exciting Etsy success story. Today's guest is Gillie Middlestead, and she is the owner of Gillie's Candles. So yes, in 2021, back in March, she started a candle shop, a handmade soy, sustainable candle shop on Etsy. And I'm so excited for her to share her story because she is an example of someone who's, just a few steps ahead of you, but already having great success and totally busting that myth that new Etsy shops can't make it, especially in the candle space, which is, considered a very busy, saturated niche. And it's just not. It's not too saturated for someone with great ideas and a beautiful product. So Gillie has been a high school Spanish teacher and aquatics coach for 7 years. She'd been teaching and working in Chicago, and she and her husband recently moved to California. So massive changes. She started this business right before their big move, and she has been a star seller on Etsy since March of 2022. She has a best-selling listing that has been there for months and months, and it's a candle that's inspired by fruity pebbles. It's absolutely magical, and she has been featured in Shout Out SoCal magazine. And her story is just amazing. She started out by making really cool candles for weddings and bridal and baby showers, custom gifts, things like that. And it has turned into such an amazing small business. So I cannot wait for you to hear her story and her inspiration. She is so generous in how she's sharing about the candle business and what she's learned. It was such a fun lesson as well as inspiration. So please help me welcome Gillie to the show. Well, hello, Gillie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so excited for the listeners to hear your story because I think it's a riot. I'm particularly excited that you've had such quick success, like having started in 2021. Yeah. And the fact that you have a bestseller that just keeps performing and performing for you. And I don't know, a lot of people wonder if you can have, they think it's only the old shops that do really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited. You're an inspiration because you are newer and you've killed it. Plus you work your tush off for a school. So this is going to be so fun.
Thank you. That's very generous of you to say because it's being new at this. It's even with a bestseller and everything, it still just feels very new and you're excited about all the little things and when you become a star seller and stuff like that. And yeah, the fact that I keep having a bestseller when I know other people sell a very similar product to mine has been very exciting.
I think you have a lot of insight to share, and I will let you in on a little secret that I explicitly have had many coaching clients say, could you bring newer sellers on the platform? Because they're closer to where we're at. So, if I bring someone in who's a 6-figure earner, and that's all my guests. And that's fun, right? Those stories are super inspiring, but sometimes they can also leave us a little that feels so far from where I am.
Yeah.
So that was a reason, you're seeing your shop and your success and your story. I want you to, I know you feel new and there's still a lot to grow that you want to grow, but I want you to be encouraged that you're exactly who people want to hear from right now. So it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, let's kick it off. I always like to start with tell us your story. What is your professional background? What led to your decision to open an Etsy shop?
Well, my career is a Spanish teacher, so I teach high school Spanish. I've been doing it now for 8 years, and I also coach. Yeah, thank you. I coach swimming and water polo, And that obviously is my main focus. I never thought like was thinking that I wanted to start a business. That wasn't at the back of my mind. There was always in the back of my mind of trying to get some sort of passive income.
Okay.
I think just being a teacher, we do have our summers. I always was waitressing, and now that I'm older, like I don't want to be waitressing in the summer, but like, you're just the type of people we are as teachers. We're committed, but we're creative, we're organized, and we're always working. Like we're just used to doing stuff. Like we need our break in the summer, and I don't take that for granted. I definitely take my downtime, but at the same time, I like to be doing something. I like to be working and keeping busy. So, um, the business just kind of started at like, you know, unexpectedly. With my wedding being last year, I was looking for a specific type of candle that I wanted for the decor, and I just could not find it anywhere, like on Etsy and like online, at least for like a price that I wanted to pay. And so I thought, you know what, I have some time. The rest of my wedding is pretty much like stuff that I'm doing myself, like being creative and finding ideas on Pinterest and Etsy and stuff like that. Again, that's because that's what I like to do. I like being creative. I like making things. I get a lot of satisfaction out of knowing that I can make something myself that, after learning it or like, trying it, experimenting. And so my friend and my nephew's girlfriend helped me kind of play around with making some of the candles, and she showed me how to do it with like the glass, the boiler situation, like on your stove. And we didn't do anything though, like we didn't know about the temperatures and like the pouring. We were kind of just doing the basics. And also our wedding was in Wisconsin, and so we were serving a Wisconsin craft beer, and we wanted to
Yay!
tie that in. So with the spotted cow bottles, like of the beer that we were serving, I thought, how cute would it be to make candles in there? And that was not my idea though. Like I of course had kind of come across them, but not very, very big. It's not like you see them all over the place. And I thought, okay, I can do that. That would be like a really cute touch to the wedding. So once I made them, I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, who would
They
have
are
thought?
cool.
Like, yeah, like who's gonna make candles? Like I never thought about making candles before. And I was very, very busy at the time, like coaching, teaching an AP class that was wrapping up the school year. The water polo like season was going on, the wedding, we were moving, stuff like that. And so my focus was basically to make them for the wedding. And then once people saw them, they're like, "Oh, where'd you get these?" Kind of questioning. They're like, me and my friends are like, "You could totally sell these. You should see like if you can sell these." And I was definitely very hesitant because I had no clue what I was doing, of course. Like, never thought about that. Never thought about opening an Etsy shop. And um, the idea just kind of came from there. So, like, I ended up kind of testing a bunch of stuff, experimenting, and we were also kind of packing up to move to California. So, I was just kind of seeing, what if I could sell stuff. And I started selling a decent amount, and then I did a couple of weddings and made like my own custom labels. And I really enjoyed doing that. And then kind of had to put it on hold because we were moving. But people were asking me like, when are you going to like start selling candles again? And I thought, okay, like maybe this can be a thing. So I sold a decent amount. For me, it was probably like, I don't know, 100 or something in like the first couple months.
Yeah, that's
And
a
then
decent
I had
amount,
to take,
really. Yes.
yeah, I had one wedding that was like, I think I made 150, and I remember being like, "Oh my God, this is so exciting!" Like, especially too because I loved doing it. I really
Wow.
enjoyed it, and I actually met the girl who I did hers. Like, she became a friend through that as well, and we were talking about our weddings and stuff like that. And it's just like I enjoyed the whole process of it. Um, And then once I moved, I was so careful about my candle stuff. Like in the drive, I was like, I have to bring my candle glasses, which was so hilarious because they were literally recycled bottles that like I found on the streets. But like I was protecting them like in my car, and I wouldn't let the movers take them, which ended up being like a whole craziness because then I didn't take other stuff that was actually really important. But I was just like, I need to bring my candle stuff in the car, like on the drive out to California. And just getting the house set up and all of that, I took a couple months off. And then I finally in October, I was like, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to like kind of get started again and put some money in. And like October, November, I was just started selling like off, it just kind of took off. And I was like,
Wow.
that's so weird. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, and of course you see on TikTok the people that overnight they have hundreds and hundreds of
Right.
orders. Like that's not what I mean. I mean, for me, I was like, I had days where I would sell 3 candles, I'd pack them, and then while I'm packing them, I have 4 more orders, and then I have 3 more orders, and I had like 15 orders in a day, which for me again was a lot because I'm going to work, I'm coming home, I have my dog, my husband, all that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I like can't keep up. Again, that wasn't every day, but it was the holiday season. And then when it rolled over into this year, I had months where I'm like making $1,000 extra. And like, for me, it is like a side thing, at least right now. It's like, it's not something that I can give, my whole day to. I give 100% with everything that I do. So when I'm working on my candles, I give the 100%, but I can't give like my whole day. Right. So, I kind of like break it up and work on things like as much as I can. And I'm like constantly thinking about stuff that I can do. And then I just really started to enjoy what I was doing, because for me, it wasn't about I need to make this money. It was more of like I found something that was creative, something that I could put like my own twist on. Obviously, the like recycling the materials and stuff was a big part of it. But as much as I love my job, my teaching job, like it's not like relaxing, right? Like, and this
Really?
is, yeah, I know it's hard to believe,
I'm shocked.
but I know, but this was just kind of like I'm working by myself on something. I see a finished product. I like enjoy watching the process. Like I'm doing things to help the environment. Plus I'm like I've loved the feedback, like when people are like, "Oh my gosh, I love this candle." I'm like, "You love something that I made? Like
Wow.
that's
Mhm.
pretty cool,
Yeah.
And like
It's a good
you want to
thing.
order something again from me, or you like that because I use natural products, or you like that the sustainability, or like there's all different reasons that people have told me, and I think that's it's cool. Like, of course, I hear from my students, like, that I have good relationship with them, or I've helped them, or I've done stuff, but like, it's different. It's a different sort of feeling because it's like, it's more short term. It's more of like, I'm starting with this product, I'm experimenting, I'm trying something, and then like, I'm getting the feedback kind of right away. And like, that's keeping me going, and my husband, of course, is like, how are you going to like manage all of this? Like, if it does get bigger, or like, he's like, you're already like at night, sometimes when we're watching a show, I'll like pull my computer out. And like, I've definitely had to be like, okay, like I need to separate this time. But with the small businesses, your mind is always thinking like, what can I do next? What can I try? Like, what's popular? What's cool? And, but I like that too. I like being like always like innovating, and thinking
Yes.
about different
It's a
things.
fun part.
So yeah, yeah. So it's been really fun. And I think, I've already like over doubled like what I was doing last year just in like these
Wow.
past couple of months. And, I had to start over with the networking in California since I moved. So I was kind of bummed because I had like, oh, my friends, of course, were supporting me. And then like my friends who were getting married were like, it was a good time because like, I was just kind of starting and whatever.
And
And I
no
was kind of
shipping.
bummed because, right, exactly. And I really appreciate like my friends from back home that still have ordered from me, even though like, they've obviously paid for shipping and stuff like that. But, so the networking kind of starting over was definitely challenging, but California is like the place for markets. Like there's tons of markets since you
Oh
can do them all
yeah.
year round, and that's been helpful. And just like meeting people through the gym, and there was a market there, and um, just kind of like promoting as much as I possibly can now has been beneficial as well. And word of mouth is honestly like the best thing that you can do, but you have to get to the point where you're like confident in what you're doing to talk about it, because
Exactly.
that takes some time as well, especially when you're not planning on doing this and you're kind of like, okay, these people are going to take advice from me. Like, I didn't know what I was doing like 6 months ago, but like, we all don't know what we're doing until we start doing it. And then we realize actually, oh, we are good at this, and maybe, yeah, someone would benefit with something or benefit from something I have to say. So,
And then right when you think you know what you're doing, everything changes.
yes. There's so much behind it, which obviously, it's not just like, oh, you post your picture on Etsy and everybody's going to be buying it. It's like you really have to learn like what Etsy is. You have to learn up the social media aspect, which I think for me is definitely the hardest part. Like I'm
Oh,
not a
interesting.
social media person. Like I enjoy it, but I mostly enjoy what other people put. I'm not like loving that I have to be on the internet all the time or like posting the reels and stuff like that. But it's so true that it's like that information is very valid and does help your business grow and get you the exposure and stuff. So like you really have to learn a lot of the behind the scenes and also understand that like it doesn't happen overnight. And like seeing the TikToks and stuff of the people that do their one video does go viral, it's like that's wonderful. And I think that's amazing, and I love that does happen, but like that doesn't happen for everyone, but
At
if you
least not
have
right away.
10, right, but if you have consistent sales of even 10 sales a week, like people are liking your stuff, you
Yes.
know like people are obviously liking what you do, and I think that's what gets me to keep going, even though I'm not making an extra 10K per month or something like that. It's like that's not really what, at least right now, is what it's about. It's the freedom that I can create when I want, I can pack when I want, I can turn my shop off when I want, I can like turn it on vacation mode, I can like have a little bit more flexibility with it. You can basically do as much as you want with it or as little as you want,
Isn't
but
that
you have to
cool? Like,
understand.
where else do you get that option?
Mhm.
Tell me,
I
because it's not in
know, I
teaching.
know. Well, that's I think why I like it, because it's such this like polar opposite of like what I do during the day that's very like regimented, very scheduled. Like of course like we don't have like within the class, it's not like we know everything that's going to happen or we're super prepared about everything. Like, it goes where it goes, but at least the like, the schedule is like very repetitive, and like then you go back the next year and it's like, you are kind of like doing, the same thing in a sense.
Mhm.
And then, but with this, it's like constant, like, and teaching is evolving too, right? Like, it's not like we do the same lessons every year, but I just mean like there's more flexibility with it. It's a good like addition to what I'm doing, I guess, because I can control how much I'm doing, which I like, because sometimes I feel more overwhelmed, but I'm enjoying it at the same time. It's not like I feel like, oh my God, I need to make candles tonight. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make some candles tonight. I'm gonna like package these or whatever. Um,
I will
so
be curious when you're selling 30 a day. We're gonna have to powwow how excited you're feeling.
uh well, I'll let you know if I get there. I think maybe like during the holidays this year, based
Yes,
on what I had last year, if it's anything like that, which hopefully it's more because
it'll be
I've done a
more.
lot of work.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting, but I
Work
think,
ahead now.
well, that's kind of what I do. I try to work like and make as much as I can on Sundays, so that way during the week I'm only packaging. But
Nice.
a lot of my stuff is custom too
Oh,
at
okay.
the same time. So, I try to have a couple of each like ready to go. So at least I can not be making stuff a ton during the week, but more so packaging. But it's also good, like now that I have my summer, I can focus more on like learning about what I have to do in the fall, in the winter. So I'm not like, I'm just doing it. I'm not like learning about what to do because that's
Yes.
where it becomes stressful for me. It's not the actual like putting it into play. It's the like when I come across, I'm struggling here because I don't know about websites and like, that's the frustrating part is like learning. But I mean, we're so lucky to have like so many resources online now, and there are so many people that offer free tips or just like blogs or like videos now. I mean, so many people have their small businesses now or like their extra sort of things that they're doing to make passive income, right? Because we're all trying to do something that is bringing us income, but is like an easier way of bringing it. You know what I mean? Like we're not thinking about it. Like we're making the money like because of work maybe that we did a little bit ago or something that like keeps profiting, right? So,
People shop on Etsy for the unique experience of getting something handmade, packaged with care, and just way more meaningful than an average purchase, right? And since we Etsy sellers are completely obsessed with our packaging, and we know how much thoughtful packaging improves our customers' unboxing experience, I am super excited to introduce you to the brand No Issue. All one word, all lowercase, Noissue, no issue. No Issue makes eco friendly, yay, and customizable packaging that is totally affordable for small businesses and Etsy sellers. Hello, next level branding for your shop. So that means that you can literally get a design that you created, something gorgeous you find on Canva, your logo, whatever you like, physically printed on your packaging materials. And if you're not naturally gifted at design, which is 100% me, they have great tools right on the site to help you do it. No Issue literally has everything you need for your packaging, you guys. Like, they have tissue paper, washi tape, polymailers, stamps, stickers, boxes, food safe paper if you're a food provider, and the list goes on. I couldn't fit it all here and not make this forever long. So, y'all need to know that my clients rave about this company. It's the best way you can up your packaging game while also being environmentally friendly and set your shop apart by leveling up that customer experience. Not to mention your photo possibilities with your cute new packaging materials like Hello Instagram. So if you've been buying your tissue paper at Walmart and your poly mailers from Amazon, try No Issue instead. It's still affordable, it's so much cuter, and the earth will thank you for making an eco-friendly choice. Grab their link in the show notes and get ready to send serious happy mail to your customers.
you
Well, you
know,
said something earlier that made my ears perk up because I love being outside. Outside is my favorite thing. Please get me out of the city on
mhm.
land somewhere, or just I love
Yeah.
nature. And so you talked about using natural products and sustainable practices, and I just as just like an earth lover, I just love nature, and so I get really excited
Hmm.
about things like that because I hate seeing
Yeah.
trash and I hate, I love that. So if you don't mind, I want to take a segment of this and talk about some of that. So like,
Hmm.
for example, you chose soy-based wax, and I'd love to know how you decided on that and like what makes that special. And then I'd also love to hear about some of your sustainable practices and how you've integrated that. Because
Hmm.
as a new business too, that's amazing. I mean, I totally started with just
Hmm.
reclaimed wood for that exact reason.
Yeah.
It had to evolve
Yeah.
as it grew. But anyway, so I geek out about that. Talk to me about that.
Well, I first always in the back of my mind with candles, the first thing that I thought was like when you see these beautiful candles at like Anthropologie or something, you're spending $90 on a candle because you love the decor, right? You want to use it as a decor
Yes.
piece. But how many people buy it and then they don't want to light it because they're like, no, I don't want to touch this. It's so
It's a
beautiful.
thing.
It's like this decor piece.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Guilty.
exactly. And I was like, that is so ridiculous. Like, we buy candles because we should be able to use them. We want them to be fragrant. And like, my first kind of thought was like, what if I offered it where people like use their candle wherever they buy it from or whatever, and then I could offer a service of like refilling it for them, you know? And basically like having that decor piece like live forever. Like obviously I probably couldn't match the exact scent depending on where they get it, but like they could pick a different scent or whatever. And with the idea of the stuff like with the wedding, with the bottles, my first candle that I ever started making was wine bottle candles because
Oh,
um all my friends, we like drink wine, right? We have all these bottles. My roommate would drink a bunch of wine, and like we always had all these bottles. And since I bought the cutter to make those candles for the beer bottle candles, like for the wedding, I was like, I'm gonna do the wine bottles. And like one of my good friends and old coworkers, she loved her wine, and she would just basically be like a supplier for me for the bottles. And she was great, and it gave me the freedom to like just play around a lot, but also like I'm not spending money on the new glass and stuff. So
yes.
I spent my first couple of months going to thrift stores, getting the wine bottles, and then also, this is so sad, but in Chicago, my neighborhood, I would just go for walks around my neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I would pick up like 12, 15 bottles. And one of my best friends from home, actually it was a bunch of Mexican beer. She's the one who gave me the idea, that she's like, you got to make a Cinco de Mayo collection, because I picked up
Well,
all these Modelos, like Pacificos, all this stuff like in my neighborhood, right? And as sad as it was, at the same time, I was like, I'm picking up trash, and I'm also like reusing it. And then I'm saving money on buying like jars.
so
So I
clever.
would put stuff out on Facebook, and at school, I was probably getting to the point where I was like annoying, because I would be like, do any of you guys have your Bath and Body Works candles that like you used up?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
does anyone have those? That you can give them to me? And people would say, yeah, I always save them. I never know what to do with them. And I would go pick up from random people's houses like 10 or 12 of those, because everyone loves a good Bath and Body Works candle, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so I started doing that, and I was using 100% recycled materials for a
Wow.
long time, until I couldn't keep it up, and people were ordering from me, and I didn't have the jars. So I did have to start ordering them. But I do like, so I can't, my stuff isn't 100% recycled at this point, but I always am selling my wine bottle candle, my beer bottle candles, my Topo Chico, and then like the people who are like local to me will use up their candles, and then they'll give me their jars, and then I'll give them a discount like on their next purchase, right? So I will like reuse the jars. It's funny now, because like when I see certain containers, I'll be like, "Ooh, that would be a good candle," or like when I was just in Mexico this weekend, I bought two things from a guy, again, who was just a local guy like selling stuff, and I was like, these are going to be great candles, and I like bought from him, and again, helping him at the same time. Wasn't
Yeah.
a store, it was like a guy selling stuff. So I love recycling stuff in general. My husband and I, like, we do all the sorting, we do all the stuff, we take our cans, like that's just kind of like the type of people that we are. I love reusing things and turning it into something beautiful, just kind of like in general. And that kind of like gives me a high to be like, oh, I see this, like, what can I do and like
Yes.
turn this into it? And like, with planning the wedding and stuff at the same time, like having that creative outlet, and like, might not be exactly, what this picture looks like or something, but what do I already have at home that I can like use or turn this into? Um, so I love that. My husband still cuts the glass for me. Like when I'm at work, like I'll leave a bunch of bottles, and he will cut it and sand it for me and make sure like, that it's good to go. But I also think like it's just really cool, like a wine bottle anyway, or like bottles in general, like champagne bottles and stuff like that, is very just unique. Um, but yeah, like you're reusing something that like there's not much that you can do with it anyway. Um, and it's just small steps, I think. Like you can, you don't have to go crazy with what you're doing, but really the small sort of things add up. And then like with the wax, I've tried all different types
Yes.
of
The
waxes.
soy. Yes.
And also throughout the past year, with COVID, but also with a lot of people starting their candle business at the same time, which I of course missed the whole quarantine, which I was like, dang, why didn't I start it like before? I could have had 2 years I was working on it, because that's when a lot of people started. So
Yes.
I was kind of worried that I was like, how am I going to be different now? Like all these people started a year ago, they're way ahead of me. But I have done a lot of research, and my first box that I ever got was soy wax, and I started off just buying 10 pounds, which of course was so expensive, because I didn't, know how much I was going to use or whatever. And then you start buying the 45-pound boxes and stuff like that. And there's a couple of places that sell them, but it's very, very expensive to ship because it's like these big, big boxes and whatever. But one of the people sometimes say, well, soy wax, you don't necessarily get like a super, super strong scent. So people are always drawn to Bath and Body Works, for example,
Okay.
because you immediately get that scent, right? But not, first of all, not all people love that. But also,
Right.
when you really do the research behind it, like the types of waxes that are used in candles aren't necessarily the best for you, for your house, for your pets.
Wow.
And I did, with the soy wax, it took a lot of experimenting. Some of the first candles that I made had no scent at all. I feel like some of the first people that probably bought from me, like, thank you to them for trusting me, because they probably weren't the most amazing candles, right? Because there's so much science behind it, with the fragrance, with the throw. Like each fragrance has a different flash point, like when you're supposed to pour it in at like a different temperature, maybe, like depending on what's in it. But with the soy wax, it comes in flakes, so it's like very easy to scoop in and whatever. But I thought, you know what, let me try this paraffin soy wax blend. And it came in these blocks. It was harder to work with, but the throw was amazing. Like they smelled super great, like right off the bat. But once I started to do my research on it, I was like, I will never sell this again. Like I just can't. I
Wow.
can't
Okay.
like be behind it. And the reason
Because of
it,
health?
like with
Oh, yeah, please. Oh, you're gonna tell us. Good.
yeah, what
Tell me.
yeah, with health reasons. Like so coconut wax is great. 100%. Beeswax is great. 100% soy wax. This was like a soy paraffin blend, and I thought, I was kind of convincing myself, oh well, it's soy wax, it's a blend. And once I used that box, like I was like, I don't want to promote myself as this like sustainable natural brand, when in reality it wasn't fully completely natural. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like
That's integrity. Yeah.
they kind of, yeah. And like that's how so many companies get you, whether it's dog food or food we're eating, or fragrances or whatever. Like, oh, it's all natural, but it's like, is it really though? Like you have to really like do your research, as with everything. But this 100% soy wax, so it's like, it's biodegradable, it's all natural, it's vegan, it has a longer burn time, because it burns slower. It doesn't give off like a lot of that black soot that sometimes you'll get,
Yeah.
which that's what like puts carcinogens into the air, which is like
Mhm.
very toxic, right? And that's like a big thing that you get from paraffin wax, even though sometimes you can't see it. Um, and so the cold throw, like when you smell it without it being lit, is different than the hot throw, right? You could have a super, super amazing cold throw and not great hot throw, and vice
Yes.
versa. So after like kind of reading into it, and I haven't even done like all my research, and like, not gonna like bash anything specific, but like we're all tempted when we go to TJ Maxx or Home Goods or whatever, like the candles that are sitting there. But there's definitely better options. Like you have to read it, and if it's like 100% soy wax, it has to say 100% coconut wax, or something like that. Blends, I try to stay away from, unless it's like a coconut and soy blend, something
Okay.
like that. But I think just the average person doesn't know a lot about it, and we just are like, oh,
It smells good. Yeah.
the right, it smells good, like that's great, but in reality, it's the same thing like with the chemicals that we're using in our house. Or like, I used to always use those like Glade scents, because I just
Oh,
love
yes.
things smelling good, right? After I started my business, I got rid of all of that, and I order now from like a company that's 100% natural, like with the fragrances that they use. So it's like you're sacrificing money, I guess. Like your materials are more expensive, just like food that's better for you, right? Dog food for your dog, like that's better is more expensive. Food for you that's better for you is more expensive. That's organic, blah, blah, blah. It's the same with candles. Like, yeah, you can buy, feel like, oh, at Walmart, I can get the same like scent for $4. Yes, you can, but you don't get the same benefits, right? Like that's from a machine and it's most likely a paraffin wax.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
um, you just have to like do your research and kind of like look behind it. And then of course, like there's certain fragrances that are natural as well, or like essential oils. Like I don't use essential oils in my candles. I would love to eventually get there. Those are way more like expensive. Like,
Okay.
but I do use a line that is from Candle Science, and it's a certified clean blend. So they basically are taking all the scents that they've had and they're putting them through like all these tests where they're like coming out certified clean. So like most fragrances these days are phthalate free, but they don't like go through these other tests to become like, you know, free of all these certain toxins or carcinogens. And California, of course, has their own like restrictions on like almost everything now. But I'm still learning about what are the best fragrances, and like I don't have every single fragrance is considered like clean. But I'm always very good about saying it. Like when I post like on my Instagram, I will say certified clean scent, you know? So you're like, if that's very important to you, you know what you're getting. But like, do all of mine have that? No, because they don't offer it for all of them. But eventually, like they keep coming out with more and more, like as they go through this test process. Um, and I hope to eventually like be at the point where I'm like 100% because I've already changed my wax. I'm using mostly recycled jars, or whatever. They're not even jars, like they're just whatever glass. And also with that though, like you shouldn't use a jar like 10 times for a candle. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Because of the hot, like the heat that's there. The same as like a water bottle, a plastic one, like an Ice
Yeah. Stay
Mountain or
away from
something.
those.
You refill it a couple times and then you should recycle it, It's the same here. Like you can't use it 10, 12 times, but you can reuse it a couple times. And then, turn it into like for your makeup brushes or something like that. But um, I just think that like those are easy sort of steps to be helping the environment as well as bringing it into your house. Like when I first started with this, I had a puppy. Like my dog is just over 1 now, and he was 8 weeks old when we brought him home in June. So kind of when I was like basically starting this. And so he's running around everywhere. I'm of course like worried about everything that gets in his mouth because he was picking everything up. And the thing about the 100% soy wax too is like if it's ingested by a baby or an animal, like as long as they don't eat the entire box, like it's okay. It's not going to kill them because it's
Okay.
all natural product, right? But some of the other waxes like are toxic to animals or to children, right? If they're crawling around and they like pick it up. Um, and so with knowing that, I think honestly that was probably my main reason for switching to the soy wax because I was so worried that if I dropped a little bit and my dog came and got it, I think because you're just like psycho about it when you have like a baby animal, right? Or you have a baby, like you're so worried about everything they pick up and put in their mouth. So I was always so concerned. I remember one time he swallowed one of the packing peanuts. And when I called the
Oh,
vet, they made me do this test to see if it was like a biodegradable one, and it was, thank God. And I didn't even know about packaging at that time. And they were like, oh, he's fine, he's gonna like poop it out, no problem. But there are packing peanuts that are not sustainable and like that could like get clogged, you know in their track or whatever.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, like whatever happens, And so I just was like, you know what? It's so if I have to pay a little bit more or whatever to get the biodegradable packing peanuts or the corrugated boxes or whatever it is, I'm fine with it. I mean, don't be surprised if I ship out candles to you and it's in a Costco box. Like that's just how I am. Like I love the brands that have all the cute packaging and all of that. I really do. And I try to do that as best as I can inside the box. I put in stickers and I have like, information card and stuff like that. But like, I'm more about the product and less about like the packaging. Like, I have fun tape that I put on there and stuff. But like, if I have a box and it's from like something that I bought, I'm going to use it because that's just part of my brand. Like, do I have boxes that I order? Yes, of course. And those are corrugated boxes. They're either 100% recycled or mostly recycled material. And, it's just kind of like, to me, it's just more important to have that than to have like boxes printed with my brand name on it or whatever, because a lot of people aren't like me and they don't recycle and they just throw it away. And like, I don't want to participate in that, because at least I know that if they don't continue to reuse it or recycle it, that I've already done my part, because that box already is recycled, right? And then when I'm selling stuff like, to at a market or something like that, I always use paper bags for like paper wrapping materials. And then if I do gift boxes or like the paper bags, when I first started, I was putting like a little sticker on it. And then I was like, this is so ridiculous. No one's ever going to reuse this bag. And, it was so cute. It had like my little Bitmoji on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, this is great. And
My
then I was
branding.
like, yeah, exactly. And then I was like, this doesn't line up with what I really believe in, because I'll get like a great gift bag or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I really want to reuse this for my best friend. She'll love this bag or something like that. But someone like writes to Gillie all over it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't use it. And I thought, that's another great way to not put any stickers or any like name on my gift boxes or on my bags, because then people can use it for another gift that they're giving someone else. Like, it's such an easy thing to do to keep the like process going, where somebody can like be like, oh, I'm going to use this box now for something that I give to my other friend. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I love that you
So,
thought through all of that. I think that is incredible. I love that. And I love the little
yeah.
lesson about soy being more healthy. Thank you so much for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hey, this podcast is brought to you by my free masterclass, How to Kickstart Your Etsy Shop. Do you have goals for your Etsy shop that aren't quite happening yet? Whether you're an Etsy hobbyist or have dreams for a full-time, replace your day job kind of business, there's definitely a learning curve to figuring out your own Etsy secret sauce. And I totally want to help you connect those dots and crack the Etsy code even faster. So, I went ahead and made a free Etsy masterclass for you to start learning some of the critical pieces of the Etsy puzzle that will help you start getting those sales. My How to Kickstart Your Etsy Shop free masterclass will give you massive insights that will make your Etsy challenges feel like an old memory. I'm teaching you 2 myths that will hold you back if you buy in, 2 huge mistakes that most new sellers make, and 3 skills to master to become successful on Etsy. I can't wait to hear your quick wins that come out of this, you guys. You can grab it today. It's available on demand at howtosellyourstuff.com/masterclass. That's howtosellyourstuff.com/masterclass. I will see you there.
Yeah, of course.
Gillie, can we talk about your bestseller though? Because I need to geek out with you about that for a few minutes. Because I just think when you're a new shop like that and you get to have that experience. And I mean, I had signs that would come up as a bestseller, but they wouldn't last more than a few weeks. It's really cool when you've got one that stays
Really?
there. Yeah. It's most people don't keep them as long as you do. So yours is.
I didn't know that.
No, this is no small feat, especially in the candle niche, which is extremely competitive. So, so guys, you can still have success in the candle niche, and you can still have bestsellers in the candle niche. She just started last year, so yours is so cool though. It looks like it reminds me of, it looks like a bowl of Fruity Pebbles cereal, which is amazing. And so I'd love to know, how did you dream that up? What is the story behind how it became a bestseller? Please tell me what the scent is, because I'm super intrigued. But like, I wish I could smell it through the computer. Someone needs to invent that.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, first of all, I never ate really fruity cereal as a kid. I never really related to it as much as I do like in my adult life, because it's like this novelty that it was like, I think most of us, our parents like wouldn't let us have the sugary cereal like every day, right? And if like I remember my parents would only buy it for us when we would go on our vacation, and it came in these little boxes. And remember like the whole strip where you
That
would
was
get like one of each like little box.
yes.
And it was like we're going on vacation, we could have like our cereal, right? And it was like this novelty. And when I first started, there was absolutely no way that I thought, oh, I'm going to be making cereal candles. Like, first of all, because I'm not really drawn to the fruity scents, or I wasn't as, but I am. The more that I make them, the more I like actually do really like them and understand like why people like the fruity scents. But so I, of course, every business owner goes through the stage where they think something is super cool and is going to sell a lot, and it does not sell at all.
Guilty. Yes.
So, right. So there's certain things, and I was like, oh, this is definitely going to sell and whatever. And, I did not come up with this idea. Like during the quarantine, of course, I saw a guy like making cereal candles on TikTok that was just flying off the shelves and whatever. I never again like was planning on having a candle business or whatever, but I was, when I was trying to find like different like wholesale businesses to buy the wax, to buy the fragrances and stuff like that, I saw that they had this like Fruity Pebbles scent, and I thought, you know what, like it was like it's not the exact scent of Fruity Pebbles, but it is very similar, so it's like a type fragrance. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a shot, like whatever. This guy who was selling, he was selling Lucky Charms, so it wasn't this exact same thing, but and I believe that his also wasn't soy wax, but it was flying off the shelves. And so when I saw this fragrance on the site, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll give it a shot. I bought like the 4 ounce, and now I buy it like in the gallon. And yeah, and I like immediately sold out, and I thought,
wow. On
yeah.
Etsy immediately?
Mm-hmm. With that 4 ounce, like what I made, I sold out, and I only had one style of it. And then I was like, how could I make this even more interesting? And I like put the Fruity Pebbles like actually around the jar. So I take what do you call it, corn syrup, and I'll like brush it across the sides, and I would pour actual like Fruity Pebbles in there.
No way.
And yeah, so it has the real Fruity Pebbles cereal in there, and then it has the scent. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
also have experimented with like how much, because like you can't put too much in there. If it's too close to the wick, like sometimes they'll burn, but overall they're safe like to be in there. They just float down to the bottom. But also like any candle, you have to observe it, you have to watch it. You can't light it and go into another room. Like candles are something that like you have to be very aware. If I were you, I would set a timer, because you don't want to fall asleep with a candle lit, or leave your house and your animals there or whatever. But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, with this, I started doing that, and then I just could not keep it in stock basically. And it's because the scent that it gives off is like such a nostalgic scent, because it is very close to the cereal. Again, it's not exact, but I think because I added the cereal in there, like that helps it give off the smell as well. Because when you pop open those boxes, like you can smell it right away. And then actually somebody messaged me on Etsy and was like, could you put this in a bowl for me? And I thought, sure, why not? I'll try it. So I went and I went to the Salvation Army, and I bought a couple like bowls, clear bowls. And I posted on it, could not keep those in stock. Then I started adding spoons in there. And now I have like the option that you can buy either one, like with the spoon or without. So credit to that guy, I don't even obviously know his name, who actually asked me if I could do it and then never bought it from me in the end. He must have found something else or whatever. But people just message you and whatever, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then he never kind of followed through buying it through me. But I posted that, of
Oh, the
course,
person
and
who
then
asked for the
started
bowl.
selling those.
I thought you meant the TikTok
Yeah,
guy. The person who asked for
yeah,
the bowl didn't
no,
buy it.
no.
but made you a
Yeah.
fortune. So maybe it was an angel. That is incredible. Oh my
Yeah, so I was like, all
God.
right, I'll keep doing it. And then I started ordering the bowls like in boxes of 12 or 24 because again, I couldn't keep those in stock. So with that candle, I offer like many different sizes because people then would start messaging me like, when is this one going to be in stock? And when, because I just kind of would, I wasn't like ordering it to like keep it in stock. I was just kind of like, whatever I have, I'll make it in this jar or whatever. And then I was like, okay, this is like getting pretty popular. So I'll have weeks where I only sell like 30 fruity candles. And that's like all that I sell. And then I'll, of course, like have other stuff in here. I say all the time, I'm like, I did not think I would be spending most of my time making this candle out of all candles, because I myself was never like a fruity candle. I'm more of like a musky, lemon, citrus, maybe like depending on my
Vanilla,
mood. Mm-hmm.
especially with
And
dog.
like,
You gotta have vanilla. It's the only thing that
yes.
smells good with dog.
Well, now it's like depending on what day it is and what time of day it is, I kind of have different scents. Like,
Okay.
on weekends, I love lighting like a banana bread or a vanilla, something, coffee, like kind of warm, baked good sort of thing. Versus like at night, I like more of like a lavender. Or when I just clean everything, I got the lemon or the grapefruit going, something like that.
Love it.
Um, but yeah, so it kind of just like, yeah, I remember when I got the bestseller. I think I got it in February, and I've still had it for the couple months, or maybe I got the bestseller
Your
bag,
star
I think, in
seller was in
February.
March.
Star
Hmm.
seller, yeah. So I don't know, I kind of just like keep going with it, and people do really like it, and I've had really good feedback on it that people are like, oh, I get the box and I can smell it through the box. And people sometimes are like, yeah, I just, even when I don't have it lit, I can still smell it. And I love that about it. It just gives off a really great cold throw as well. Um, but the cool thing is too, is like when you're making custom stuff, like you can do it as little or as much as you want. Like I have people that reach out to me and say, I'm really sensitive to scents. And I just say, okay, I can make whatever scent you want with a lighter amount of fragrance oil or none at all. Like some people love candles, but they can't deal with the scents or have allergies. And it's like, you cannot go to a store and buy an unscented candle. Like that's just not a thing, like they're all scented. And I think like to have that flexibility. Or I had one person message me and she's like, I love, like all caps, I love strong scents. Like guarantee me that this is super strong. And I said, this will be super strong, I promise. Like I put a little bit more in there. And she was like, oh my God, this candle is like amazing, blah, 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 and I was like, all right, perfect. And I think that's just a really cool thing. And I think too, like it sparked a lot of this, like when I was getting married and I was trying to support small businesses with like cookies or little desserts or like stuff like that, and how excited that made me be like, oh, this is perfect, this matches my decor or whatever, like to be that person like for someone else, to be
Yes.
like, oh my God, I love this candle, like look at this like super unique candle that I got like from me, this like random girl in California, like who wasn't even meant to be doing this in the first place. I think like that's just a really cool thing about it. I like that I can customize stuff. I like that I have the creativity, like, and I want to be creative when people are like, hey, this is my vision for my wedding or my bridal shower, or, to be able to like kind of craft up like a fun label or something like that. Like that part I enjoy a lot. So just try to constantly be like creative and innovative with what you're doing, and really be able to accept feedback too, because like when I first started, like I had people buying stuff from me and I would get this like anxiety and be like, is the candle good? Like, is it lighting? Are
Yes.
they like stuff that they bought this
Exactly.
and like the wax doesn't go all the way around, or maybe I use the wrong wick? Because like sometimes like I'll pick up a wick and it fell out of the bag, and I have to literally play mystery like detective to figure out exactly which wick it is based on the size, because you have to measure the candle. Like, if I were making this glass into a candle, like you have to measure this
Circumference. Oh,
like
yeah. Across.
length, yeah,
Mhm.
across, and like you go on the certain websites and like it will give you the best guess of like which wick to use. So,
Okay.
that's why, like, for example, Bath and Body Works, they have two sizes of candles. They know what works for their candles. They use the same wax, they use the same fragrance, the same wick, right? So they're not sitting there testing out all their candles. A small business, like, we have to test out our candles. And even the candle that I give to you, I obviously didn't test out that candle myself. I couldn't have. There's
Yes.
no way. I've done my own testing, and I have chosen the best wick and the best like amount of fragrance to make this candle based on the research that I've done. But could there possibly be like a little bit of tunneling, or could there possibly be like a little bit of black soot? Like, yes, that's all possible because it's like a natural thing. But you also like learn, if you are really into candles, of like how to get your candles burning consistently. You always want to light your candle, or you want to cut your wick before each light, especially the first light. So like if you have a brand new candle, you still want to cut the
Huh.
end off. You want to have like 1/4 of an inch of wick. You light it, and then you have to make sure that you have like a couple of hours to light that candle. How many times have I
Oh,
lit a candle and I have to leave my house and I'm like pissed off because I'll blow it out and then I get like the ring around it because it doesn't have ample time to like have the wax like go all the way around.
okay.
Right? So the first time you light a candle, you want to be able to like, you're at home for like a couple hours. You're not going to be rushing out. You light it, you really like, can let it do its thing. Sometimes you don't get an immediate scent. Again, like it really depends on like the type of candle and fragrance. Sometimes like it takes a couple hours for the scent to really come to life. But yeah, you want to make sure that you trim your wick every single time, because then you don't get that like kind of mushroom cap at the top.
Okay.
You also like, that's where sometimes you'll get the black soot around like the outside because
Ring.
wick
Hmm.
is too long, right? Um,
Wow.
and then yeah, there's like a ton of different tricks and things like that you learn along the way. But if you are really big into candles, you should definitely buy a wick trimmer. So like when it gets really low, you can stick the trimmer in there and cut it, because if you're just using a scissors, you can't reach like all the way down and your hand will get like soot on it if it already has some on there or whatever. Um, there's just a lot to learn about them. Like candles actually are very complex kind of things.
I'm literally,
Um,
Gilly, talk about passive income.
yeah.
You need to sell a course on candles. Like, here's how to produce. You could literally sell a course to Etsy sellers and other people with
No
websites who want to do
way.
candles. Yeah, I'm planting an idea here because you said passive income. And right now, girlfriend, you're
Yeah,
working your butt off to make your extra dollars. You could sell
actually.
a digital course and you could teach how to do sustainable soy-based candles, and you could teach them all of this stuff about the health, about all of it, because then they can market it. But then you can also teach
Hmm.
them like how to figure out how much fragrance to put in, and I know all of
Yeah,
that is out there, but they'd have to go through thousands of hours of research to figure it out.
yeah,
You have all of this, you've already
right.
tested it all. I'm just saying because we've never had a podcast like this. This has been very educational.
Yeah.
Like the people who geek out, they're loving this. They are
Uh-huh.
literally you are so free flowing with your ideas
Oh,
and your
thank
knowledge.
you.
Yes. Okay. So idea planted. Consider it. Let me know when it's for sale.
I will.
Um, I'll help you promote it. I think it's awesome.
Oh
Seriously,
my God, that'd be amazing.
I will promote it through my resources page on my website because people want to learn this stuff. It's so good.
That'd be
You can start a
that'd
whole
be really
TikTok, Gilly.
cool.
You can start a whole It's so good.
Oh,
Okay. So we have got to wrap up. So tell me, what are some tips that you would offer to someone just getting started on Etsy? You're the perfect person to do this because you're not 6, 7 years in like me. You're newer.
mhm.
What are some really good tips for a newbie?
Well, I just saw one of my friends even on Instagram post the other day about like these little family portrait paintings that she did, and she put
Oh,
on her story. She was like, "Do you think anybody would buy these on Etsy? I'm thinking about making an Etsy store." And I'm like, "Just start the Etsy store. Like,
mhm,
what do you have to lose? You
mhm.
obviously like doing what you're doing. You'll never know until you try." I think it seems kind of cheesy, but like that's just who I am in general. I'm not afraid of losing a little bit of money or afraid of like making mistakes or whatever, because that's how you learn. And like, you kind of just have to bite the bullet. And like, the same thing with the website. Like, I was nervous because it was a decent amount of money to put out. Is it making me thousands of dollars? No, but I'm still learning about it, right? And it's like just another step in the process. But it's like the main thing that was in my brain is that I was like, I don't next year want to be like thinking about all that I could have made this year from it or whatever. Like, I already kind of feel like there's not enough time for everything, right? In life.
Exactly
And
right.
it's
That
just
doesn't
like,
change.
it's like you have nothing to lose. Don't like put all your eggs in one basket and spend $10,000 on product right away. But like what I did was kind of slowly but surely. Of course, was I spending more money because I was buying the wax in 10 pounds? Yes. But then like you start to learn, you start to see, you really have to see too what people want. And you kind of have to modify, which is the big thing with Etsy, right? You have to find that niche and really narrow it down because you want to sell what people want, even though you might not necessarily want it. You have to see what the general public wants, what they're searching
Exactly.
for. Right. So it's like you can start by doing that, see like, what people want from it. And like you'll hear, you have to be open to feedback and you have to ask people really too, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or like, and if they're like, no, that really sucks, you can't like go cry about it. You just have to like, modify it. And like, I do think that my background just in being a teacher and like the constant, like, reflecting on your own performance, like, hey, did my kids get to the point that they really needed to be, or did I really not explain this lesson enough? Like, there's a difference in seeing that a couple people didn't do well or everybody's not grasping it. Maybe I need to
Yes.
explain it again. Maybe I need to do it in a different way, or like maybe we should act this out instead of reading it, or like whatever, right? You're just constantly like modifying, and that's the same with any business. You have to constantly be open to like changes, modifying, seeing what works. But like you just have to start, even if you're making a couple sales. Like, you're making a couple sales, like what are you losing? You just have to take it slow. That's my advice, because you never know. And like, you can't also expect long-term things to happen in the short term. Like, you have to focus on very short-term goals, or like, hey, it's going to be the holidays. Like, maybe I can make, a bunch of these and sign up for a market that like you buy a seller's day pass for one day and you see how it goes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it doesn't take any money to make an Etsy shop, which is one thing I do love about Etsy. Like, you obviously get charged for the listing and you get charged a percentage once you sell, but Etsy really promotes new sellers, which I think is awesome. They really like value people who are just starting out, and they show your stuff through
You're
like
proof of that.
the search engine.
You have
Yeah,
proved
like
that for
much
us.
much more. And then you see it slows down, and you trust me, like, I got to a point where I was like, gosh, I was selling like 15 or 20 for the past couple weeks to like 0 in a week. But
Yes.
it's like
Your
you
cycle.
just keep going. Like, yeah, like, and you have to know that like there's thousands of people selling on there, but you kind of learn like how to make yours different. And like, if you have a talent, like this girl, for example, obviously paints or draws or something like that. Like, I don't paint or draw. Like, you're definitely going to sell more than me if I were to do that. And like, you kind of fine tune what you're already good at. And if you enjoy doing it, just start the shop. Like, you can always close it. And if you're like, oh, this is too much, or I don't really like it, but I'll see people all the time like asking for help, like, hey, I'm not really getting this many sales and whatever. And like, people like you helped me originally with mine. I think you even have this like video. I think I watched yours, that it was like 3 things that you could make, that you might be doing wrong, that are like super simple, easy fixes that you'll see.
Yeah.
You'll go from 0 sales to 10 or whatever, but it's still more. And like, you just have to like commit to doing it. Like, you're either going to do it or you're not. You don't have to give every minute of the day to it, but when you are giving the time to it, like, that is your focus, right? Just like anything else. So
And it's super low
that's
risk.
my
Like, we were talking
recommendation.
before
Yeah,
we recorded about like
exactly.
starting a business 50 years ago and how next to impossible it was. And today we love to cry and gripe about all of the, obstacles, but honestly, there are fewer than ever. Like, let's
Right.
let's like pull some Pollyanna disposition out here, guys, and have a positive attitude because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, there are fewer barriers than there have ever been before. I mean, like,
Yep.
call me optimistic, but
No, I agree. And it's hard to be optimistic sometimes in this world
yes,
because with the social media, we're constantly shown of how we can be better, right? Or how,
yes.
oh, my product isn't as good as this product, or I don't look that great in this reel, and look at this beautiful girl in this reel, or whatever it
Oh,
is, and like
welcome to
what
my
she's
life.
selling, or blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's like, and that's kind of like what I said too earlier about like my boxes and stuff. It's like the people that have the really fancy boxes and whatever, they're reaching the people that want the really fancy boxes.
Yes.
And then the people like me, I'm reaching the people that love the sustainability, that love the recycling aspect of it, or that love, that it's 100% soy wax or whatever it is. Like, you will find that right group of people that you're selling to, you
You
know?
just dropped gold
So,
because people would not have put money on me when there are these gorgeous, young, super successful other Etsy coaches. You guys have seen Anastasia's templates. She was on back in, was it in May when our last episode, and Jenny from the shop who literally looks like a Disney princess. And these girls kill it. And the thing is, and like they're like some of my best friends, and they're a totally different vibe. I am super
yes.
campy. Most of the time, I'm not wearing makeup. If you look at my TikTok, I literally look like I have put no. And the thing is that, but my people find me because
But,
some people love
well, yeah.
down to earth every day. And
Hmm.
I'm not saying there's one that's right or wrong. I'm saying we all can find, there is room at the table for every.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I love that you said that, Gillie.
I
You actually
agree.
dropped gold.
Yeah,
Although
I agree.
you're
And
not about.
your stuff is so beneficial, by the way.
Thank
Like,
you. I just try to help. Like I really try to give as much away as I can. And usually when it's paid, it's because it's taken a lot more work to put together and you need to
mhm.
get in and you need to see the videos and I'm showing you the analytics, I'm showing you it's just different. So thank you. I really
Yeah.
try on TikTok especially to give away as much as
Mhm.
I can that I can just give you in a little bite to chomp down.
Right.
So,
Yes, and that you have to do that too. Like, one thing when I was at a market, the people next to me were selling food, right? So like they can give a little sample. And I've always thought, like, how can I like give my buyers, because it's hard to buy candles online. You really don't know what they're going
yes.
to smell like. You can read what the fragrance notes are and you could read my description, but in reality you don't know until you get it, right? So it is
Yes.
always a risk. But I've never had anyone return a candle, knock on wood.
Wow.
You could always regift it, you know what I'm saying too. It's always a beautiful gift, like if, let's say, you get it and you're like,
Not
but
for me, but yes,
I
totally.
I'm just trying, like, my next one thing would be to, like, when I do the markets and stuff like that. I mean, the markets are good because they can smell them in person, but
Yes.
I always try to, when I can, I'll throw in like a little, like a votive candle,
Oh,
with like a little scent. Because when I have extra, I'll like fill up my candles and I'll have a little bit more and I pour it into the votives. And I'll try to throw those in if I have like a bigger order or something like that, so they can smell like a different scent that they don't have. But you're trying to do something too that's cost effective, because, like,
yes. That's brilliant.
for someone,
Now you're
yeah.
recycling, you're
Oh,
on brand, you're on your
exactly.
values, but you're also delighting it. Oh, Gillie, you're so good.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying. You
You're so
know,
modest. Okay, so tell
it's there's
everybody.
a learning curve.
Go ahead. Oh, learning. Right. I know, but
Hmm.
you're at that
Yeah.
perfect. Like honestly, you are such a perfect guest to have right now because you are in exactly the place where someone a few steps behind you, who's just starting, who's just
Hmm.
taking the risk, who's just stepped into the pool, can like see between where they are and where you are, and it doesn't feel so impossible. And at the same time, you set a good bar for them. I love all your knowledge and
Thank
everything.
you.
So I know that people are going to want to be able to follow you and keep in touch. Where are the best places for them to find you?
So I'm very active on my Instagram, which is Gillie's Candles.
Okay,
So
link
there's
that.
no apostrophe there. And then the same through Etsy. Just Gillie's Candles, all one word. That's my name on there. And then I have my own website, which is just gilliescandles.com. So you could reach out to me there for custom orders. There's a gallery of like all different like custom things that I've made. You can shop through there. You can read a newspaper article in there, an online newspaper article that was done about the business, kind of see like a little bit more about how I started. But yeah, gilliescandles.com is probably the best place, and then Instagram and TikTok.
I'm
and
going to go
Pinterest.
ahead. Oh, I say that again?
I said, and Pinterest, you got to hit up all the social media.
I have all those links from you. So I will link that for you guys. Mm-hmm. And if you're not big on the links, Gillie is spelled Gillies, Gillie's Candles. So it's an I-E, it's not a Y, which I love because I grew up with the sweetest Gillie ever. So I'll never forget your name. So they will be able to find you that way. And my guess is we're going to be trying to beg you to come back here in a year or two, because it's going to be so fun to see where you land.
That would be awesome.
So fun, right? Yeah, you're going to get a... When this airs, I'll send you the links and everything. You guys just get to listen into the behind the scenes here for a second. I'm going to send you a little logo that you can see, you can put on your Etsy shop and your site, wherever, that as seen on the How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy podcast. So that'll be fun. You're just like part of the family now.
Super exciting. This was honestly just a really fun experience. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. You've been unbelievably generous. And all of the candle artists are literally doing backflips because they've never had anything like this, at least not on my podcast before. You've been amazing. So thank you. It's been so fun getting to know you. We have to keep in touch, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks. See you soon.
And that's a wrap on this episode of How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're looking for more resources, head on over to howtosellyourstuff.com, where you'll find podcast show notes, all the links from today's episode, the blog, courses, coaching, and more. If this episode was helpful to you, awesome. The greatest compliment I can receive from you is a rate, review, and subscribe on this podcast. Not only will it allow us to connect again on a future episode, it lets me know I'm providing you with value and helps other people find this content more easily. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support. Have a great day and see you next time.